a lead.
Look at us now.
Ooh, Jesus.
It's what, 11 a.m.?
Combat.
Oh, there he is.
You fit in seamlessly in this weird MK environment.
Do you want a margarita?
We're gonna do it. On your marks, get set, and go down.
Oh, that's right. I'm a player. You can put me on the roster. I'm all about the cheese, Chuck Mendenhall. Don't worry about the pasta. What do you know about that, huh? On this, oh, Jesus, 20th day of April. It's 420, everyone. And somewhere Long Island Luke is not sober. How you doing, everybody? Oh, let me fix this here real quick.
I think that's the earliest we've sounded that horn. That was like within the first 15 seconds.
I had it the wrong side. There we go. Hello, everyone, on this 20th day of April, 2026. My name is Luke Thomas. Welcome to another episode of Morning Kombat. I'm merely one half of your hosting duo. I join you from the capital of Estados Unidos, right here in Washington, D.C., joined by my Connecticut brethren, the one and only Iceman, Chuck Mendenhall. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. Wait a minute. The NHL playoffs kicked off this weekend. Were you watching Washington? Are they in it?
I have not kept up with the Capitals.
Okay.
The ticket prices are so insane that I've
so once that happened, you're like, they don't exist to you.
It's not that they don't exist. It's just like, for example, like two problems emerged. One, the tickets are insane. And then the other problem is Monumental Sports, which owns the Wizards and it owns the Capitals. They went off of linear TV. So you have to get the app to watch the home games.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know,
Denver's got similar problems, with the Avalanche.
I did see the Mario movie yesterday. It's terrible. It's absolutely dog shit.
I hope you took your daughter and this wasn't a solo mission. Like this is
Yeah, no. I wasn't in the back being creepy. I was there with my daughter, obviously. Okay. And it was terrible ass movie. But I did see the Nats on Saturday. I went to go see the Nats play the Giants at Nats Park. It was actually great. So it was cool.
How
are you doing, bud?
Do people recognize you at a baseball game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, everywhere I go, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Which is it's a mind fuck for my daughter because she's always like, "Yo, how do you know these people?" And I'm like, "I don't."
Like, you're a donk.
I don't.
You're a donk.
Yeah.
How does it? Okay.
I have to kind of explain. I'm like, people know what I do, you know. She's like, "Oh, are you famous?" I'm like, that's not the right way to look at that,
right?
You know what I mean? So anyway, how was your weekend, Charles?
It was good, man. Just kind of had my daughter in town, so we watched WrestleMania, which is a 2-day event. I'm sure that you avoided that at all costs, and it felt like a marathon. It was.
I heard day one was one of the worst days ever. I heard yesterday was much better.
Yesterday's was better. I can't explain it. And sometimes I'm like, am I just not the target audience? Like I just can't keep buying into this type of thing. But there were times where it really lagged, man, where you're just like, it didn't feel like the crowd was into it there in Las Vegas. There was like 50,000 people there, and it just felt like it was kind of dying in the middle of it was like an afternoon show for them. So the sun is out. It just had a very strange vibe. But I thought that yesterday's was a lot better. But this definitely, I don't know if you've ever watched WrestleMania. Like this didn't feel like one of the better ones, if you know what I'm saying. This felt like it was kind of hoping for something to happen, or just it wanted to generate more than it did. It just didn't really hit home.
I don't bag on professional wrestling like I used to. I mean, it's still not for me, but from what I understand, there were as many ads on Saturday as there was actual wrestling time. And then I saw yesterday during one of the wrestlers' walkouts in the arena itself, they were showing a Snickers ad during the walkout. Did you see this?
It's over the top. Yes, I saw this. And also they would pull out tables like this, like they do that. They pull out the ladders and chairs and what. The tables would have Slim Jim, slogans on them. So I don't know, man. It's just it's too much at this point.
Dude, leave it to private equity to find any place to pull $1 from. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's get to the third member here of the show. I don't know if he was watching WrestleMania this weekend, but I know he was probably ignoring his girlfriend. It's my friend and yours. It's Long Island Luke. What's up, player?
What's up? I'm with you, LT. I don't fuck with wrestling like that, man. I don't get the interest in it.
I used to hate on it. I don't hate on it anymore.
I mean, I don't hate on it, but like, if you guys didn't, I will say, I'm going Submission Radio later today, and Dennis was like, "We're going to recap WrestleMania," and I was like,
"At least he told you what you're going to recap."
Yeah, you're right. But I was like, brother, I don't know about that. But I don't watch wrestling at all. Did watch Winnipeg full card. Enjoyed myself somewhat. But more importantly, guys, it's 420 today, and you know what that means.
What does it mean?
We're doing a merch sale, baby.
Yes.
42% off all shirts and posters right now. morningkombat.shop. Do not miss it. Shirts are going for as cheap as like $20 right now, so make sure you hop on
now,
that.
Let's clarify this, Long Island. Is the 420 sale just for these 2 items or any of the items available on the shop itself?
All shirts and posters, as you see there on the right, LT.
Just making sure.
Yeah. No, everything on the site, every single fucking t-shirt, and this is the only poster on the site, but yes, every poster as well.
Now, if you look here at Long Island, show them my shirt. I'm wearing the where do I go here? I'm wearing the MK root beer. This is the root beer variety right here. So,
hey man, how cool was it? What's your comedian friend out there in DC was wearing sporting the
W. Kamau Bell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw that he was wearing. You saw that like video. He's talking about Dana White in the White House thing, but he's like wearing the Morning Kombat. I was like, how appropriate, man.
Yeah, I saw his show on Friday at the Strathmore Theater, which is in North Bethesda, and it was a great show, but then it was like a 45-minute ride home, and I was like, holy fucking shit. I'm too old to be doing this.
Yeah.
In any event, we got a lot to get to today. So as you heard from Long Island Luke, we got to get to UFC Winnipeg. We got a lot of results there. We'll actually have a little bit of WrestleMania talk today, although not about the actual WrestleMania itself. There's a media angle we'd like to talk about, plus a gazillion other smaller news and notes we're going to get to in the world of combat sports. So thumbs up on the video, hit subscribe if you haven't, give us a follow and subscribe and all that fun stuff on social media. We already told you about the shirts. morningkombat@gmail.com, of course, is going to be the best way to reach the show. And of course, as a reminder, best meme for fan subs all month gets a signed poster gratis for free. Should be a lot of fun. Anything else I'm missing here on this early preamble?
Well, you mentioned you didn't mention the Brock Lesnar put down his gloves at WrestleMania, but I mean,
did he really? I didn't hear that. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, normally guys don't wear gloves in this situation, but he put down his MMA gloves. So,
is it customary to put down
props shoes
in wrestling retirements?
I don't know, but it was the one part of the show where I'm like, I don't know if the WWE or TKO was really in on this. I don't know if they were like surprised, but I felt like it was a general surprise to the public that he was kind of walking around, because they have like a big event coming up in Minnesota in SummerSlam, which obviously he has the roots to his wrestling and he lived there for a long time. So I think people assumed he would retire there if he's going to retire.
Does this mean he comes back to UFC?
I was wondering that, that's why I kind of was mentioning it, but I mean, how crazy. I don't know how old is he? He's like 47, 48 years old. He's got to be up there,
he's got to be
right?
roughly my age. We went to college at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, like right in the wheelhouse of a heavyweight age. I think he could come in.
48. 48. 49 in July.
Great.
Yeah, he's older than me. It'd
still be a pop. Although, I don't know if you saw him. I'm not sure he'd pass. I don't know if they do drug tests anymore, but I'm not sure he'd pass them.
I mean, he just looks like a hot dog they left in the microwave too long.
That is true.
And then now he's got, I forget what kind of haircut he has. He has like,
oh my God,
he's got like a ponytail, but he doesn't have a ponytail at the bottom. He's got a ponytail at the top. You know what I'm talking about?
It's
like
not
on the
quite the Kentucky waterfall, but it's bordering on something like that. It's got like it flows back, and then it's the ponytail. I don't know what you would call that.
I mean, I can't talk. I look like I've been electrocuted and I'm dying, but at the same time, I don't quite get the ponytail after age 40. Can I be honest with you? It doesn't do it for me. All right, let's talk about it. We got a lot of fights to get to. So without further ado, let's go to topic number 1 if we can. Let's get to that main event from the UFC card this weekend. So UFC Fight Night Winnipeg, or UFC Fight Night Burns versus Malott. It took place in Winnipeg, Canada. And Mike Malott scored a 3rd round stoppage in the main event over Gilbert Burns. The talk heading into this contest, Chuck, was kind of about Malott. Everything was centered on him here. We had talked about how he had suffered the loss to Neil Magny and had kind of at the time had collapsed his stock. But now he's on a win streak. He gets at least the biggest name of his career on his resume, and he certainly looked good doing it. So the question for you would be, was this a turning point performance for you? Did he make you a believer after Saturday?
I think a little bit, man. He's a guy that, have you ever talked to Mike Malott? He's
no.
He doesn't have a very dynamic personality. He reminds me of the way sports were through the 80s and 90s and even in the 2000s when, guys spoke in general bromides and they just don't give you anything. Everything's kind of linked to little wisdoms that have been passed down that, are just kind of cliche at this point. So he's not going to kill you in that sense. And I wondered if this, even with that kind of professional attitude, because his brother is a professional player, I think he takes some of that. He's a professional hockey player. I think he takes some of that. I wondered how he would handle a situation where he becomes the focal point of a main event like this, his first main event, Winnipeg, even though that's not exactly where he's from. He's Canadian, so he knew the fans would be with him in this pursuit. And I worried a little bit for him going into this fight, given that we've seen Renato Moicano kind of stop the hands of time for a second and say nope, you're not going to get by me a couple weeks ago. And I was wondering about that with Gilbert Burns. Just would he be able to dig in, kind of show his expertise? He'd lost 4 in a row and just say that's, this is as far as you get. But I thought from the very beginning of that fight, when you could see a couple of the, you could see that what the game was, which was to keep it standing, obviously, and seeing the kind of poise in which he was handling himself, the strikes were fairly crisp from the beginning from Malott, and I thought he was handling it really well. And then to get the outcome that he did, basically shutting down all of the offense that Burns, Burns had some moments there, but shutting down all the big offensive movements that Burns was trying to bring, I thought it showed a guy who was ready to kind of step up and be in that spot. Where that puts him, I know the Burns was ranked, I think, 11th coming into that fight. Whether he catapults into the top 10, we'll see. But I thought he handled himself very, very well given that big stage.
Long Island, I'm curious to get your perspective on this. Did Mike Malott make you a believer?
Not really. And no disrespect to him, solid performance, but I just feel like Gilbert is old and washed at this point. No disrespect, Gilbert Burns, legend. I had a bet on him. Was
I like how you're no disrespect. This guy's a piece
of
shit.
Bro, you got to tell it how it is.
He looked good, I thought, early, but
they both beat my ass. Let's just be real. That's what I mean. No disrespect, but also I just feel like I got to see. You're looking at who's next for Mike Malott, and it's I don't like any of these matchups for him. I still am not that much of a believer. There's Uros Medic is sitting there. That's the one winnable matchup for him. I feel other than that, you're looking at do they give him Leon Edwards? I still would favor Leon in that fight. And then D-Rod sitting there. What
makes you feel like he couldn't handle Leon's kind of in on the in dwindling form here too.
You're right, but I don't think he's dwindled to the sense that Burns was. And maybe I'm holding on to straws. I bet on Leon his last few losses. I bet on Gilbert his last few losses. So maybe I'm just they still got it, guys. But Mike Malott I don't know. He didn't do it for me.
Luke, I take it that you were not overly impressed. Am I correct here? This is what I'm sensing.
This is a strange one. It's a strange one because, if you watch that performance, Chuck, it's a good performance. He doesn't fuck it up. He makes good decisions. He took his time. He didn't rush it, but when it was time to really press the gas, he did. I thought he did a really great job with the takedown defense, kind of stopping it before it could ever really get started. So the down blocking was nice. I thought they had a good game plan for Gilbert. And honestly, you if you really look at the way in which how accurate the punching was, particularly that final right hook that sat Burns down for the second time, that was real nice. It was real nice. He definitely did not look scrubby. He did not look out of shape. He also, by the way, should be noted, and I know we all know that Gilbert came up from 55 years ago. But Malott looked huge.
He did.
Relative to Gilbert. So it's not like I can go to that performance and been oh, that was crappy. That was crappy. No.
Yeah.
But to the point that Long Island Luke raised, it's it's just hard to rate it super highly because I just think Burns was a really, really good fighter, but he is so clearly done, And we'll talk about the Burns angle in just a minute.
Sure.
Burns is sitting currently right now. They haven't updated the rankings, right? So this is still from last week, essentially. Burns is sitting at 11. So you've got Malott, who's going to jump somewhere into that top 10-ish kind of space. Bonfim at 10, Buckley at 9, Edwards at 8, and then below that would be MVP at 12, although I don't know what the situation is going to be with him. And then Medic, as you guys indicated, at 13, D-Rod at 14. I think that those are all pretty reasonable fights for him. It's on the one hand, dude, here is a guy who was moving himself into the rankings, deservedly so. At the same time, do I like in the sense of, wow, here's a guy whose upper bound potential is high enough where let's see how he can move through the ranks. I don't know if he can move through the ranks. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. And I would share that to an extent. I just thought that, when Gilbert, he was not going to allow Gilbert to come down Broadway. Like anytime that Gilbert was, kind of jumping and changing levels, that uppercut, the knees, the things like that. It's maybe it is maybe it is that Gilbert is not in the same form, but I just thought that like a guy who was anticipating that stuff and keeping it where he wanted it, and then once he had it back at range and they were in the striking again, I felt like he executed really well. I guess from the standpoint of just the pressure, because he had so much. So many family, like he was pointing them all out afterwards, family, the Canadian angle. I talked to him before this fight about, the GSP thing, where is the UFC still trying to replace GSP in terms of the Canadian market? Are you the guy that they're trying to plug in there? And, he was like, that might be what they're looking at, but that's not how I'm looking at it. But you could tell that he'd been asked similar questions and there was a pressure associated to that. I guess when I'm looking at his performance, I'm looking at all that stuff too. I don't know, like when Luke was mentioning, when Long Island was mentioning just kind of the guys in that division that you look at, I don't know which of those guys he can beat. But if you just look at the Neil Magny thing, and I don't know how you guys see this, but the Neil Magny fight, he's winning the fight up until the end where he loses the fight. And he's that close to being 7 or 8-0 in the UFC in that division. So I don't have a reason yet, I guess, or a big enough reason yet to be like, he can't be a player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know what's true. The only thing I know what's true is that he has definitely earned a spot in that 9 to 11 or 8 to 12 range, right?
Yeah.
Again,
yes.
for his ranking. And if he can, is he some kind of a pretender who sucks? No, he's not. But before, I guess what I would say is I'm ready to believe he's a top 5 or top 3 guy, he's got some work to do, and not just in this literal sense that like, your ranking position is not high enough. Like I just need to see him beat someone who's got their P's and Q's covered, accounted for, dialed in. He's a little bit younger. You know what I mean? I kind of need to see that before I'm really ready to turn the page. But certainly, no question about it, he looked good. He looked good on Saturday, and he did what he was supposed to do. There's this stat here that we have for Mike Malott. Most welterweight finishes. I don't know what it means to have this from 2022 to present. I don't know why that's the demarcation line, but such that it matters. You can see he's tied with 5 with some other names, only one above him, essentially, in Carlos Pracha. So, like, again, with Mike Malott, like, is he doing the kinds of things that he needs to be doing? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He absolutely is.
It is important to note that he probably benefits. And I mean, obviously, this is what we're kind of alluding to here is like from advantageous matchmaking. Like you're putting a guy in there with Gilbert Burns, who I think everybody kind of knew this was his last kind of, I don't want to call it a Hail Mary, but a last look to see, okay, we're going to put him in a very disadvantaged situation. You're going to go in the other guy's territory, and he's the up-and-comer, even at 34, like he's the up-and-comer. Go beat that guy, and you can't do it. This is all geared towards Mike Malott. And I think even like Kevin Holland, where was that fight? In Vancouver? It was in somewhere in Canada, but he's fought all these fights in Canada. And in most cases, when they do this, they try to give you an opponent that's not going to come in there and embarrass you, right? Like they try to give you a little bit of a guy you can do well against. And even I think the Neil Magny fight was certainly set up that way too. So do you want to see him kind of go against a guy in a more of a neutral, like maybe that's where it would, that would tell us more things. If they put him against, Medic and they do the fight in Vegas, say, I think that would tell us a lot more as to where he's at this point. But yeah, I think that he's kind of in that, he's still wait and see on that level.
I would need, for me, and this is just me, and I don't know how the viewers feel, I don't know how you feel, but for me, if he was going up against someone really good, respectably good, got pushed and then was able to answer the push, I'd feel a little bit differently, or I'd be able to update the way I feel now. So I'm going to take a wait and see approach until I can really launder the taste of the Neil Magny fight out of my mouth, but right. I certainly feel like, all you can do on fight night is the assignment you are given. And he did it. He did it. And you have to give him that, I think, in the end. Now, it takes us to the other side of the equation with Gilbert Burns. So I looked this up, Chuck. Gilbert Burns has now lost 5 in a row.
Okay.
All right. This is the first losing streak of his entire career. All the other ones were like one-offs, basically. And more importantly, of these 5, 3 of them have been by stoppage. And then here's the real kicker. The last 2 back-to-back were by stoppage. I mean, we're in a territory now of Burns' decline that he's never even come close to sniffing before.
Yeah.
Seemed to me like Saturday was a good time to retire. Do you agree?
Yes. I mean, and then you guys detailed this, the washed thing, right? Like, I think that's, it's such a harsh way to say it, but that's what it is. It's like he just doesn't look like he's going to be able to, like, he did a pretty good job in that first round. I think he was kind of getting at the lead leg a little bit. He had some good exchanges, but when you saw that he could, like, his plan A was being shut down, which was, I'm going to try to change levels, get this to the ground and do something there. He couldn't do it, and there was no such thing as like him winning a scramble. There was no scramble. He was not allowed to get into a scramble either. He couldn't create that. So once you see that, and then that third round where he gets dropped the first time with like it was like an uppercut, beautiful uppercut, like a hook combo.
Yep.
It drops him, and
right
then,
there, you can see it right there.
Yeah, and it was a beautifully executed, sequence there from Malott. But watching him get back up and try to recover and then take that right hand, I was like, it's always in those types of situations. You're like, okay, I've seen Gilbert now in there a long time. He's 39 years old. The guy had a very good run in the UFC. Never won gold, but he did fight for it. But you just know at that point, you're spinning your wheels. There's no way that you're going to be able to even try to go out on a happy note. It's going to be difficult for him at this point. So, yes, I think it's time to retire.
Dude, we should just say it out loud. Like, Gilbert Burns has been, I don't do a lot of interviews anymore, Chuck, but Gilbert Burns might be one of my favorite guys to ever talk to. In fact, one of the videos that we did together on MK when it was a full-time operation, Chuck, was BC and I flew down to Killcliff in Deerfield Beach, and we interviewed Gabriel. I was thinking about somebody else, Bonfim. We interviewed Gilbert Burns just prior to the Hamzat fight, and it blew up. It did huge numbers, obviously mostly because of Hamzat. But I remember in that conversation just how thoughtful Gilbert Burns was and how much he was thinking through his problems, personal problems, strategic problems, problems of success, problems of failure. Like, he really, really tried to do things the right way. And I just have so much respect for that. I have so much respect for somebody who, honestly, to me, and this is partly why I like Cub Swanson a lot too. Cub Swanson's a thinking guy too, right? These guys who really internalize what they're trying to do and they give a thoughtful approach to it. One way or the other, Chuck, they make an imprint on you, even if it's not necessarily from becoming a weight class champion. And Gilbert Burns, to me, did exactly that. I really, really encourage everyone, if you never saw the interview that we did, I don't even know if it's still up because when we transitioned everything from CBS to All the Smoke, a lot of stuff got lost. But if it is still available, I really encourage people to check it out. Gilbert was, I say was, but I'm saying is so smart, is so clever. And I don't need a guy to be the best ever. I just need a guy to be interesting and try. And he did more than that.
He was very loyal to that team, right? Like, because Henry Hooft has been with him. Mellon, like these guys have been with him the whole time. And if you've talked to those guys over the years, I think that they talk about Gilbert as like the model kind of, fighter, because he is always trying to learn. He's always trying to get better. And man, he had a great run right as the pandemic, right? He was kind of like, he was flying high there for a minute. He won like 5 or 6 fights. I remember the Damian Maia one that was in Brazil where he, was able to get through that one. And then the Woodley one, coming off of the title shot with Usman, winning that fight was when I was like, okay, at that point, I wasn't sure that Gilbert Burns was in the way that we're talking about Mike Malott, maybe, where you're like, I'm not sure he's ready for this step. And, he was able to do it. He got his title shot. He wasn't able to win it. But the dudes who beat him, were like, especially in his prime, were the very, very best guys, So when you look at a guy like that, you're like, when they say perennial, like perennial title contender or whatever. That's him, right? He sat in that space for a very, very long time in one of the toughest divisions.
Dude, the dude fought hammers.
Yeah.
He fought hammers basically beginning to end. I mean, there's very few times you were like, oh, they're going to give Gilbert a soft fucking landing here. You know, he took on tough ass opponents over and over and over again. And as a reminder for folks that don't know, 2011 world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, IBJJF. He also won Nogi Worlds. And then I think in 2015, he got a bronze at ADCC, but he was already well into his MMA career by then. So even that's kind of pretty fucking remarkable, to say the least. Of there's so many times like, oh, this guy was a world-class black belt, and they're not. No, this guy was a world-class black belt. This is the kind of guy. And the thing I love about his game too, it had limits, obviously, Chuck. It couldn't extend forever, but the fact that, he didn't need to go to his jiu-jitsu. I like the guys who need to go to their jiu-jitsu. It's not like an either or thing, but if you're able to give yourself options, that obviously to me signals a little bit of a advancement in your technical development, and he could do that too. He could slug it out with guys. That slugfest he had to a degrry anyway with Hamzat is kind of proof of that. You know what I mean?
He was one of the few guys to kind of give some doubt into an equation that involved Chimaev, right? I thought like he was the original guy that's like, okay, wait, maybe there is an approach to this guy, because he had some moments there. I think that, I saw Dana White afterwards was like, the main thing that you take away from Gilbert is he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. And I was like, well, that's very... You don't usually hear somebody mention that, but I know it's Canada, and Canada's a little bit nice. They're not like the USA crowds that are chanting USA through the, but they're very, prideful of their roots. But they were chanting, Gilbert's name during that, during the end there. And I just thought that was cool too, man, because if anybody deserves, to get that love, I think it's a guy like Gilbert. I believe him too. We're never in on these negotiations, but when he says, I never said no to a fight, don't you get the sense that he never said no to a fight? I feel like he's one of those guys, whenever the UFC needed him, he was there.
That's it. Yeah. And I got to say, if you're going to retire, there are worse place to do it than Canada. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's true. That's true. It was like the Aldo, what was it? Zahabi, like that fight when Aldo, and I felt like there was this love for Aldo too. I guess if the soft landing you mentioned might just be in the geography, because you go to Canada, at least they're going to hug you and embrace you at the end.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Brazil, you're going to die, right?
What's the chant? You will die or whatever.
Yeah. So great to see what I think Burns made the right decision. We have a quote graphic here. By the way, this is what he said. If I cannot win, if I cannot show everything that I have, Chuck, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get just a paycheck. Yeah, fair enough. This is a guy who came into the sport with grand ambition. He achieved a lot, maybe not the highest level of what he wanted, but certainly made a strong account of himself. And again, one more time, MMA was his second athletic career, not his first. The fact that he got as far as he did is, to me, a testament to his ability.
I don't know, some guys when they get out of it, you're like, I don't know how they'll handle a transition out of the game. I feel like he'll be fine. You mentioned he's very smart. I also think that he's a coach too, right? Like he likes to help out. I could see him sticking around the game in that capacity for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think he will have a lot of wisdom to impart to the right kind of fighter, if that's a direction he wants to go, or back to jiu-jitsu or whatever. Who knows? We'll see. Let's go to topic number 2. Let's talk about the rest of that UFC fight night, Burns versus Malott main card. So let's go to the co-main event, which was actually a really nice co-main. Charles Jourdain gets a hard-fought win over Kyler Phillips. He basically outworked him, in my judgment, to a decision. You can see some of the highlights here. Jourdain was looking for that jumping knee quite often. So here's what happened in the end. We were kind of right on Friday's show, Chuck. We're like, okay, we know Kyler Phillips is going to get him down, but is he going to be able to do anything with it? Is he going to be able to keep him down? And the answer was affirmatively, no, not really. He wasn't able to do much with it. The question I have for you is, based off of this, as well as that win streak, so it's the 2, does Jourdain deserve to be ranked top 15 right now?
I think he's on the cusp of that. But if you look at that division, man, all the way down to 15, it's just so it's got to be, if not the most stacked from 1 to 15 in the UFC. It's got to be right up there in the top couple. It's just so good that's the only reason that I would say that he might have a hard time breaking into that top 15. This is the first time, I'd have to look this up. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe this is the first time he's put together 3 fights in a row where the consistency, where you're starting to see him, just kind of outshined. This particular one, I felt like he was not going to be outshined, if you can say that, because he wanted to put on a good fight, but I thought he was dialed in enough to win the fight. So I thought it was a very good performance, especially because I think he was probably down on the scorecards going in the second round. It's a tough opponent. I think he was able to handle it. But in that division, man, he may have to go through one of those guys at the bottom of that, at the top, in the 15, 14, 13 range. He may have to go through one of those guys to actually break in.
I do think he deserves to be ranked. You're right.
Yeah.
He had I think a 3 or 4 fight win streak when he was doing regional MMA, but since he got to the UFC, 2 was the most until this one. And now you look at the quality of the fighters he's beating. So he beat Victor Henry, who's a good fighter out of Josh Barnett's team. Davey Grant, solid British donk. And then Kyler Phillips, who is got some real limits, but was pretty athletic. And by the way, game himself, I thought, in certain situations, but real limited. I mean, the thing for me that kind of drove me nuts in this fight, Chuck, was that if you look at the way Charles Oliveira got the takedown on Max Holloway, right, in their last fight, what was it? He would get to a body lock. He would attach Max to him, right, lift, trip out the post leg, and then he would keep that chest-to-chest connection as he went to the mat, and he would end up in side control. So you're ending up in side control, chest to chest, tight positioning.
Right.
From there, he would immediately go to knee on belly. And then from knee on belly, he would play either a back or mount game, right? And it was that way every single time. Hands tied, attach Max to you, lift, drop him, side control, chest to chest, knee on belly, back mount. That was the sequence every time.
Right.
And the reason why that's so important is because, he didn't have to pass guard once he got to the ground. And you might say, well, Charles would pass Max's guard, no problem. Maybe so. But the point I'm trying to make is he lands in a position that automatically sets up the next stage of his offense while maintaining control the whole way. Kyler Phillips didn't do any of that shit. He would take Jourdain down and then just play inside of his fucking guard.
Yeah.
He passed to side control, I think maybe even off the first takedown, and then stopped doing it. It's like, dude, credit to Charles Jourdain, because anytime he was able to recapture any kind of guard, offensive or defensive, knee shield, full guard, whatever it ended up being, he was right to work. Yeah. He was throwing up triangles, arm bars, knee shields, underhooks, you name it. And it's like, this is what I mean about having that next level of talent, is understanding the chain of events that precede that takedown that are going to make the likelihood of success once you get to the ground much fucking higher.
Sure. Yeah.
And Phillips just didn't have it.
Yeah, and you got to give Charles, you got to give him his flowers too for I felt like in this fight, he would handle the situations that, that you're mentioning here. He would handle the toil of the fight admirably, just so he could get back to styling on the feet and throwing these crazy things, because you feel like that's really what he wants to do. It's great if a guy is able to, he's able to get out of situations to kind of make the fight he wants. And I thought that's what happened, because in that first round, I got a sense that it wasn't going to turn out in his favor. I thought that I thought maybe we were going to see a rinse repeat, even if there was no evolution to what we were watching. I just thought it was going to be that kind of fight. And he certainly turned it around in the second round.
He did. We have a little bit of a sportsmanship between them. Let's take a look at that.
Just turned 1 as well. You're a fucking monster. Seriously, I hit you with hard fucking things, and then I dropped 45ers with the shit, and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Thank you very much for this. Yeah, let's get that bonus. We deserve it.
It's nice to see, right?
Nice to see some
I think that's you see something like that. That would you delude yourself as a fighter anyway, right? But I think that you sometimes believe in your hands, and you could imagine a situation where you're your coaches are telling you, man, you're hitting hard, and then you land something flush, and the guy just keeps coming forward. I bet that would be somewhat astounding in the middle of a fight, that you're like, how are you still there if you land something clean like that?
Charles Jourdain looked good, though. The pressure he put on the feet, on the ground, he just stayed working, and Phillips was trying to control the fight and slow it down and couldn't. He was throwing to the end, though. I'll give him credit. He was certainly throwing to the end, but he just didn't have an ability to either keep Jourdain off of him at range or to stay on top of him on the ground with pins or some other kind of improved ground position.
It's nice to see him get that, by the way, just given that he's been toiling in the UFC for quite a while. He's been on, what does he have, like 7 losses in the UFC? I know he's had a bunch. So to see a guy kind of emerge and also like pick up, I think he was given the bonus here, like, to kind of pick up the extra cash. It's like, it's good to see a guy like that come through.
Yeah, 7 losses. Des Green, Andre Feely, Julian Arosa, Shane Burgos, Nathaniel Wood, Sean Woodson, Jayon Silva. Good fighters, largely there.
Yeah.
It takes us now further down the card. Jai Herbert and Mandel Nalo. They're going by Mango, which I fucking hate. It's rat garbage as long as I live. But he loses at 205 of round number 1. He gets KO'd. Chuck, I'm not sure what to say about this other than Jai Herbert, man. If you're not on your game, he's gonna find out. Certainly on the feet anyway. Nalo took it to him, couldn't sustain it, and gets dropped. Your reaction?
I think they were like, okay, Nalo, you haven't been in the UFC. You're what, 36? You're up there, or whatever he is. I know he's an advanced age to be kind of in the situation he's in. We're gonna throw you a guy who will accommodate you, and you should win this fight. And I think that he kind of went in there believing that was the case. He had Herbert, like he hurts him immediately, and then he pulls a Yuri, right? Like he kind of goes in there, not too worried about any repercussion of what just happened, and like he gets clocked, and you get one of those table turning moments. It was just fun. It was fun while it lasted, but I think that it was just one of those type of fights. You're like, I bet that the UFC expected, I think, for Nalo to win this fight, right? I think that they were like, you're going to go in there, and Herbert's been in. He came in with a lot of hype from Cage Wars back in the day, and he's just kind of treaded water to this point. I feel like they were like, put on a good fight, but this is your fight, and he got caught, man. He got beat up.
He sure
it was
did.
fun. It was wild, though, right? It was a wild fight.
Oh yeah, especially as far as you're like, oh, Herbert's going to fold here, and then he cracks him, and then Nalo gets back to his feet, and you're like, all right, let's see if this settles down. Nope. Sure didn't. Sat his ass right back down. How did you bet on that one, Long Island?
I had fight does not go the distance. It cashed my 4-leg parlay, so I was hyped for that fight.
Wait,
I was just like, someone die. It was Barboza money line over 1.5 in Moises Young, Jazz Davicius money line, and fight does not go the distance plus 256.
Nice. That's actually a pretty good one there. You nailed that one. Speaking of which, Jazz Davicius, Chuck, she gets a unanimous decision win over Karine Silva. She had a Zen in her mouth. Do you have a picture of? Look at this. She was just nicotining it up during the middle of this fight, which I think is a no-no by the rules. I don't know if they're going to enforce anything.
I didn't even notice. Wow.
I didn't notice in real time either. And then this morning, Karine Silva was tweeting, "Not all fighters are fighting clean." Uh-oh. I'm not exactly sure what the nicotine adds. I don't think, it's nothing. I don't know if it's the difference in why she won or lost. But a little bit of a tough one here, right? She was able to get the win, kind of grinding it out with takedowns and top control. My question to you is, was it enough to kind of get her back on the title shot horse?
Again, that division, man. The problem is you have like Talia Silva, who already has a victory, right? Like she has a victory over Jasmine. So that it's hard to, you can get into the conversation, but you're not going to hurdle Natalia unless something happens there. And then you have Fiorot, right? Like who's in there, who also has the victory. It's going to be tough for her. I think that a fight like with maybe Erin Blanchfield or something like that, you could then be like, if she gets through somebody like Erin Blanchfield, who's above her, I believe, in the rankings, I think then she would be discussed in that picture. I still think she's one off though.
Yeah, I'm not. I like clearly she's good enough to beat this level of opponent, right? She's got enough skills, but it's like, what did you see there that makes you think another crack at a number one contender, even a title shot, would go differently? I'm not so sure.
Right.
But she's definitely well-rounded, and she definitely did what she needed to stay relevant and on the horse, so to speak. Which takes us to the beginning of the main card here, Chuck. Gage Young defeating Thiago Moises via split. My question to you is, what did you see out of Young? Anything impress you?
He looked good. 25 years old, right? Like, I think they said he was the youngest guy on the card. He looked good, man. He looked like a prospect. I'm sure that, like, what did you see? Because, like, is this still green, right? Like, you sometimes see these guys and you're like, he's still green. Give him some time, that type of thing.
Yeah, it looked to me like he was smart enough to, obviously he was beginning to land it more and more as the fight went on, which was nice.
Yeah.
And he was able to prevent the worst of things happening in the first round when Moises had his back. And then in general was able to diffuse the danger of Moises. And that is not so simple to do. Moises is a limited fighter, but he's a talented one. And you got to have some skills, particularly at 25 years of age, to be able to like diffuse that bomb, which he did. And I think that should count for something. But the real mark of someone who is going to excel, and again, he's young, he might. This is not in any way a suggestion that he's some kind of a fraud. Far from it.
Yeah.
I'm merely pointing out he's at the stage of his development where he's tightening. You can see he can problem solve and he can neutralize guys who might have some advantages over him, skill for skill. But he had a little bit of a hard time, to me, getting some of his best offense going. And that might just come with time. That might just come with being 27, 28 versus 25 years of age. So he definitely does not look bad by any stretch.
Right.
But perhaps a little limited for where he is in his growth curve.
Yeah. And he looks better and better throughout that fight. It was like one of those things where in the beginning stages, it was kind of rough going for him. But second round, a little better, right? And then the third round, it felt like it was his fight. I have to say, like, I don't know anything about, like, he's from like Missouri, like Sedalia, Missouri. I don't know anything about the gym or the coaching that he gets, but in between rounds, if you heard the instruction, his guys were very informed. They were telling him exactly what to do. And sometimes you're like, man, these small gyms, like you'll see sometimes the big gyms and they're like, hey, stop getting hit, go in there and you're like, what kind of advice is this? This isn't like, you're not telling him technically what to do, or you're not telling him where the danger is that he's not seeing. But these guys were right on it. So I think he's in good hands, just from that one example of catching him. And to see that he was kind of thriving down the stretch, that's a good sign.
I mean, according to Tapology, so take that for what it is worth, he trains out of Ignite Jiu-Jitsu. The owner of that gym is Zach Cummings. Do you remember him from the UFC?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Zach, was a guy who had, he did okay in the UFC, but people think what you need to do well in fighting is you need a coach who won at the highest level. And that can be true, certainly in some cases, but it's really overstated. What you just need is a coach who understands the fight game. Whether or not they personally achieve the highest level, I'm not going to say it's immaterial, but it may not be as consequential as people think that it is.
Yeah.
And he did look to me like a well-trained fighter. He just looked to me like a well-trained fighter who's still early in the growth process. That's all. Like not
Moises
bad
wanted to bully him. I mean, he wanted to bully him, and it just, you could see that slowly turn through the fight.
Yeah.
Like, that's
I think it's going to be good for him, Chuck, because Moises can be tricky. If you're not super experienced, Moises is a little tricky,
Yep.
All right, let's go to, by the way, hold on. Do we have the thing? Yeah, we did it already. We showed it. Okay. Before we get to topic number 3, let's talk about our friends at DraftKings. You guys know what's going on. The NBA playoffs, they are here. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, boosts every game day the whole postseason. When the lights get brightest, the best players in the world show you exactly who they are. Playoff stars turn it up round by round. And DraftKings turns it up too, with a profit boost available every single game day from the first round all the way to the finals. New sportsbook customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. So here's what you donks are going to do. You're going to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code COMBAT. That's COMBAT with a K, so you're ready for the moment. That's code COMBAT, COMBAT with a K. Turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA bet boost restrictions apply and vary when offered. Boost only applies to winnings. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. Sorry about some of the reading on that one. Is it going to come as a great surprise to you, Chuck, that I did not sleep well last night?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Bro, I don't know what it is. As I get older, sleeping is like, it's a challenge. It's a straight up challenge.
Yeah.
Before I go to topic number 3 here, what is your nighttime routine? The hour before bed, what are you doing?
A couple of shots, and then I just no, I'm kidding. It depends, man. Like the one thing about not having like a traditional like kind of office job where you have like standard hours of like 9 to 5 or whatever is just, you know, sometimes you're working in the night, or sometimes you know you're out doing stuff. Like it varies from night to night. And but I will say that I like to, the one thing that makes me sleepy is to actually read a book, you know. So
every night now I read a book.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this on and off for years, but now I'm like pretty strict about it.
Yeah,
I definitely read, and I don't read on my Kindle. I read like a physical book.
Yep.
But
I mean,
it didn't help last night. I can tell you that. I woke up at 4 a.m. in a pool of sweat. It was awesome.
I feel bad for you because this is like maybe the second or third time very recently that you've had this.
Dude, I don't know. I'm telling you, like every passing day, sleep becomes I have to wear a nose strip, earplugs, eye mask. I have to have sleep medicine. I have to have the room controlled at a certain temperature. And you're like, well, what happens if you don't have any of those things? Well, then I can't sleep at all.
Oh man,
those are just preconditions to try to sleep.
And then the nights you're asleep, your daughter comes in and is like, "Dad, wake up."
Yeah, no. And then she'll be like, "Dad, I you know what I was dreaming about? Zebras." And I'll be like, "Get the fuck to sleep." All right, let's go to topic number 3 if we can. Let's talk about that prelim portion now. I'll say this, Chuck. I thought the main card was in general pretty good.
Yeah,
we've talked about some of the highlights, some of the lowlights as such, but in general, it was pretty good. Prelim card definitely had some bangers, definitely had some duds along the way. Let's talk about the part that was the banger for me. What can you say?
Beautiful.
Mauricio Barbosa just sending Dennis Buzukja to the land of wind and ghost, rolls under, I think, a right hand or maybe a left hand, and then lands his own here. You can see it, Chuck. He looked awesome, did he not?
If you were to slow that sequence down where, like, you know, he goes in there, he throws like a combo, right? And then the left hand comes in on him. He slips under that and then just pops up and cracks him with his own left hook. I mean, that's one of those beautiful sequences that you could play like classical music to, and it would pound home in the right way. You know, that was one of those type of knockouts. Very, very prettily done, man.
Long Island, you were high on Barboza, I think, pre-fight, if memory serves,
yeah,
right?
Well, I had him in my parlay. You know, no disrespect. Dennis Buzukja, Long Island legend, but he hadn't fought in like 2 years. He hadn't won a fight in like 3 years. You know, it was just, there was a lot going against him there. But I will say, up until that finishing combo, I was like, oh God, I don't know. Not that I thought Buzukja, I was only like a minute long.
Right.
But and not that I thought Buzukja was winning, but I was like, shit, man, I expected Barboza to come out a little hotter here. But, you know, he did the job in the end. That's all that matters.
I was going to say, Buzukja looked pretty good early, but it just, you know, he made one fatal error. And that's it. In MMA, dude, if you can slip and you can roll and then counter, you're going to win so many fucking fights.
Yeah.
I cannot. I mean, if I had a chance to, like, if someone was like, you know, what should I focus on as a young fighter? Focus on your jab and focus on turning defense into offense in your boxing. And that means footwork. That means slipping. That means blocking and rolling. It means a lot of different things. But if you can get a jab right and you can get turning defense into offense, you're going to set these donks on fire. Trust me.
So true, man.
Any hype for Gokhan Saracham? I think is how they pronounce it. It's spelled Saricam. After he starts Tanner Boser, not Bosser, but Boser.
Yeah.
He came from Bellator. He looked fast. He had crisp combos. He's got a real dad bod build there. What do you think, Chuck?
Well, I mean, is it starting to? Is the heavyweight division starting to like give you some charms now? I feel like we've had a couple weeks now where the guys are going after it, and is it changing in your mind at all, or was this just another donk fest for you?
I'll say this. I mean, let's see more of it.
Sure. That's
know,
where I'm
nice
at with
2 weeks for sure.
I will say that how you say his name, Bozer, is like I always say
Bozer,
this wrong.
yeah. I thought it was
like,
Bosser too.
Same here.
Bozer.
It's just, but he went
in
in
there. It
there.
rhymes with his nickname, Bulldozer.
Oh, right. He went in there headhunting, man. And I mean, I thought a couple of times early he may put the fight away. So it wasn't just that he came sorry, however you say his name. It wasn't just that he came back and won the fight in the second round. It was, you know, he withstood some heavy weather to get there. And dude, he didn't, like, it's right at that moment too when it looks like they're huffing air and you're like, this fight, if it goes into the third round, is just going to die. Like it was starting to get into that space, and then it was just that very straight bam right down just right off of a leg kick. He just throws that hand, and it was a beautiful knockout. So I thought it was pretty impressive, but I'm with you. It's like, we wait and see what he does next.
I don't have much to say beyond that. We had the Long Island. How did you score the JJ Aldrich Jamie Lynn Horth fight?
All right, so admittedly was half paying attention during that fight. It's one of those fights. It's kind of lulling you to sleep. Jamie Lynn, I thought, clearly won round 1, and then we were kind of like, even the chat, we were all half paying attention, and then like the reading the official decision, we're all like, all right, yeah, that was a Jamie Lynn decision, and then JJ Aldrich wins, and we're all like, what the hell? Ironically, I was talking to Danny Segura because he was
That's why I brought this up. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
He was high on Jamie Lynn. He's like, I actually thought JJ Aldrich won that fight.
Wow,
so
weird.
Like, oh, all right.
You might be the only one.
Yeah, for real. Even the commentators, Senko, Felder, they were all like, that was weird. But
I mean, I thought it was 30-27. I'm not going to, I thought Horth did enough in every round. She was kind of leading the dance, right? Like she was the one initiating, she was tracking down and changing stance. She was doing all of the action, and I felt like JJ, like a couple of times it looked like she could get off and she could do something, but she would throw a single strike and then kind of cautiously get out of there. I don't know how they came up with that scorecard, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't like a robbery because the rounds were not like definitive, but in my mind, all three of them kind of leaned the other way.
It's an interesting one. Danny Segura, I'm looking here at MMA decisions of anyone who they recorded, not like, I mean, they didn't have the full slate, but of anyone who recorded their scores, Danny is the only one who had it for Aldrich. He had it 29-28 because he hit me up on Saturday. He was like, how did you score it? And by the time he had asked me, I still had not seen it. And I was like, well, why? What happened? He's like, dude, they're fucking killing me on Twitter because I had the fight for Aldrich. And then you look at MMA decisions and basically everyone except Danny had it for Horth. I thought Horth should have won it 29-28. I think 30-27 is a little strong for me. To your point, the rounds are close enough where it's like, you can squint and kind of see a few different ways that can go, but not. Yeah, I mean, here's the scoring again. By the way, that's not the Greg Jackson, right? That's a different Greg Jackson, right?
Gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah, it's not like Jackson Wing. But someone pointed out, dude, JJ Aldrich only threw 6 significant strikes in round 1, and she won round 1 on one of these judges' scorecards.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that.
Yeah, let me pull up the numbers here. If you look at the end, Jamie Lynn Horth landed 70 significant strikes to JJ Aldrich's 50. And in round 1, Jamie Lynn Horth landed 21 significant strikes. JJ Aldrich 7. Just 7. The other two were close, but not that round.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of a strange one, if I can. Okay. Castaneda, because there's an Enye on the end. Volokdin. I got to tell you, I love Volokdin's game, and you can see the point that was deducted in round number 2 for the second low blow, which, by the way, great job by referee Jason Herzog in taking a point. Volokdin is way too fucking hittable for me. Way too. I love his offense, but he's so short. He has a hard time getting in. He has a hard time getting out. He'll do it, but he gets hit a lot.
I said on Friday, bro, I said there's way too much hype for this guy just because he had a really fun fight in Contender Series. I haven't seen anything to be impressed. Also, this is another fight that I thought was bullshit scoring. John Castaneda won this fight. It should have been 29-27. He won all 3 rounds. You take the point away in round 2. That's it. Like, that was a robbery, and if I've ever seen one. And
that one was interesting too. I will say Volokdin is not a bad fighter. He's a good offensive fighter. He's a bad defensive fighter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We thought Charles Jourdain, I think, threw 2 Rolling Thunders. Mark Volokdin threw fucking like 5 Rolling Thunders. Yeah. What was it? Just the night of the Rolling Thunder this week? It was weird.
Including at the end of round 1. Well, you know what? The original guy who threw it in the UFC, Harold Howard, was Canadian.
Really?
So you know what? Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Maybe
Chuck.
it was
like the
ode.
Rolling Thunders.
How about the crowd chanting "Take a point"? That was pretty funny. Did you hear that? Like and then he did. But I was like, it was good to see that. It was really good to see that because they should be that definitive with it. You know, multiple occurrences, like you got to do it.
And by the way, shouts to the commentary crew. A lot of times I mute the commentary crew, but it was to me one of their better ones. It was Brendan Fitzgerald, Paul Felder, and Laura Sanko, and they were quick. And then I think Fitzgerald was pretty quick to note that he was like, "Hey, it's not about the intention of the foul; it's just about its like application. Did it affect the fight or not? You got to take a fucking point." I was like, "Yes, fucking hell, yes."
That's why they're good, right? I saw you pointing out that you like this this crew, but they are very good. Paul Felder, he sees things in real time. Like he'll tell you exactly what just happened, and he breaks it down in a very kind of lay way that like you're all right. Anybody who's even a casual is going to understand what they just watched there. You know.
This guy apparently has, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure about his views. Let's say he has very questionable views. Robert Valentin, he finally gets a rear naked choke over a guy who did not look ready for me for this level, but he hand fought here and he got the choke. There you go. People want to turn people with bad tattoos into heroes, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
All right. That is it for topic number 3. Let's turn to topic number 4. Now, this is an interesting one. We're not going to cover pro wrestling as such on this one, but the parallels to me were a little bit too much to ignore. So over the weekend, let's look at the tweet here if you can. This is a tweet from ESPN's MMA and pro wrestling reporter, Andreas Hale. And in fact, Andreas Hale has been on Morning Kombat. He did, I believe it was the Caleb Plant and Canelo pregame preview that we did at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. In any event, he writes the following. This was on Saturday. Quote, "I will not be covering WrestleMania for ESPN. WWE denied my credentials and blocked my access. Neither I nor ESPN has been told why. You can speculate on the reasons, but if you want answers, ask WWE. Let me know what they tell you." And then it's a fan. Interestingly, for folks who may not know this, ESPN is WWE's broadcast partner. So they're denying the credential of the broadcast partner's reporter. Chuck, UFC and WWE basically share executive leadership. In light of that, what does this episode tell us about the state and maybe future of combat sports' ability to do its job?
It's such a tough one, especially given that this WWE, and I remember being at ESPN, and the discussion was always like, can you even cover it, given that it's not a real sport, right? Like so in some ways they're denying a theater critic. It's like a theater critic being denied a credential because his tastes are unswayable and it's not favorable to the company. It's equally BS, right? If you're on ESPN and you have a partnership with ESPN and one of the writers who's been assigned to cover this sport or this event, it should happen that way, because it's not about you trying to monitor, you know what I mean? Like it should never be about trying to quell a voice within the space. It should just be like, this is what we're putting out there. It's a public form of entertainment, and you have to accept basically what people say about it. And that's essentially what's going on. I know that I was talking to Long Island right before tape, and having known some people within the WWE, I'm sure that there's a lot of gossiping that goes on within this, because it's such a traveling circus and like people spend a lot of time together, and you wonder about Hale's reputation within there. And like in terms of, I saw that R-Truth came in on that very tweet we just posted and basically was like in favor of him not getting his credentials. I don't know how much all this plays in, but from ESPN's standpoint, this is BS. They should be the ones advocating for their journalist or their writer to go into this situation. I don't like when you see something like this, when we basically have seen shades of this, because wasn't it Lance Pugmire who was denied credentials for the boxing event? Which one was it? Canelo Crawford? Do you remember when this was going on? Had to do with the Riyadh the Turkey thing. Do you remember when Lance was denied credentials? Fairly recently. Yeah, in boxing. Yes. I'm just kind of throwing a parallel. I mean, we've seen people getting denied credentials, and it's always based on, some kind of exertion of control from, the TK or whatever it is, like from the other side of it. But they need advocates. They need advocates from ESPN. I remember when when I was at ESPN, Josh Gross had already been banned from the UFC to get credentialed, and ESPN at that time sat down with the UFC. ESPN at that time sat down with the UFC multiple occasions, at least a couple of occasions, to try to sort that out, to try to get Josh credentialed for events. And of course, the UFC was steadfast in saying no, but at least they advocated, for the journalist at that point in time. I haven't seen anything. Have you seen anything from ESPN to basically have their writers back in the situation?
No, and I'm not really surprised that it went the way that it went. I mean, people have speculated about why he got denied, and to be clear, like if you look at his tweet again, he's like he doesn't really know, and I don't know either. What I can say is some time ago he was doing like a letter grade column, and he had given some event, not a failing grade, but I think like a pretty low grade, somewhere in the C range. And the reporting at the time, I'm not breaking news, this is the reporting at the time, was that WWE had expressed its frustration to ESPN about the column. And so ESPN killed it. They killed the column.
Yeah.
And but that wasn't recently. That was, a little while ago. And now we're at the place where they're straight up just denying credentials to all of this. I mean, I just want to be clear about this. Like, people have made a statement like, well, because ESPN's the official broadcast partner, they should push back harder, which I certainly agree. But I just think as a general rule on this kind of whole thing, I am lucky to be sitting in a chair, and you too, Chuck, where we have a company in all the smoke that, basically just, I mean, we can't like say whatever we want, but we have extraordinary latitude to do this kind of a job. And I don't really hunt for credentials, so like threatening me with taking one away doesn't really mean anything to me.
Right.
And so I have inoculated myself. But I just want to be clear to any media folks who are out there who are watching it, you might get lucky. You might get lucky, and you might find a place that will, an exception that proves the rule. You might find a place like what we have here, and they might help you. But the vast majority of corporate media is going to do exactly what ESPN does here. I've seen this, Chuck, so many times. I don't think reporters realize this. If you get sideways with a sports organization, whether it's a team, fight promotion, or whatever, and then that entity in your line of work refuses to credential you, let me make it as clear as I possibly can. In all likelihood, with exceptions here or there, your outlet is not going to protect you. They're going to hang you out to dry. Because in the end, the best amount of ad deals for these kind of companies comes from having a working partnership with the entities that they cover. That's just the truth of corporate media. So if you get in the way of that, or if that sports organization wants to at least say that you're getting in the way of that, and the choice for that media outlet becomes you or them, they're going to pick them 99 times out of 100. It doesn't matter how big the media outlet is that you work for. It doesn't mean any of that shit. If you want protection in this industry, you have to have your own audience. It's the only thing that will protect you. It's the only thing.
They talk about church and state, especially within journalism, right? Like I worked at newspaper publications coming up, and there was always a church and state ethic, I guess, that was in play. That was, your advertisers didn't dictate the editorial, and that started to change over the course of time, where it was like not that it changed in terms of like dictating what the editorial was going to be, but there was certainly a caution. And this goes to New York Times, this goes to anybody. Like, there was a caution of, do we want to run a story that's this negative about one of our moneymakers? And I think that this is where it comes from, right? The one thing I will say, if it really comes from the grading aspect, this is something that ESPN has done since the time I was there. I remember we would put grades on certain events or whatever back in the day, and the NFL, everybody does. Like, if there's a draft, they grade the draft. Of course, they're really just grading a specific team. They're not grading the NFL specifically or anything like that. But this has kind of just been a kind of a structure that they use for the writers to weigh in, and I feel like it's tremendously thin-skinned. I mean, this is in the fight game especially. Like, what a thin-skinned reason, if that's really what it boils down to keep somebody out, is that he gave a C grade to WrestlePalooza a few years ago. I mean, that's other level petty.
The thing for me that I had a hard time learning about this industry, that it took me a while to understand because it was so counterintuitive, which is that if you become very famous and very wealthy, or at a bare minimum, even if not famous, very wealthy, and then in, some position of power, you might, like, our assumption, Chuck, is that, like, once you ascend to those heights, yeah, like, a bunch of people might criticize you, but, like, you're just so above them and your life is so removed from them that, like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you have millions of dollars in the bank, you get to make decisions about key, companies or whatever. And it's not just in combat sports, I'm talking like generally. But what I have found, Chuck, is that actually something happens in many cases that is the reverse, that the more famous and that the more powerful and the richer that, these leaders of these companies get, actually the more sensitive they become. And it has this effect where they now want to use that power to then dictate what can or can't be said about them. We have always operated under the assumption that the bigger you get, the more you graduate from that. And I think it's what this episode and many others highlight is that no. It actually comes all the way back around, and they want to control everything from that point. I don't know what this means for Andreas's future, particularly at ESPN. I don't know how this is going to go, but like, I'm telling you folks, Chuck, I gave that guest lecture at the University of Maryland a couple of weeks ago, and then afterwards there was a Q&A, and then some kid asked me, what's a piece of advice you would have for aspiring journalism students? And I was like, well, first of all, don't.
That's always my first advice. Yes.
Yeah. But the second one was, and I'm going to repeat it here for anybody watching who's thinking about getting into media. If you don't have your own audience, that I'm not saying control, but I'm saying that will follow you, that will subsidize your work, that will, that you can kind of collect and shape, and then you have this direct relationship to. If you don't have that, you are at the mercy of forces that they themselves are at the mercy of the people that you are covering. And again, if it's a choice between them or you, corporate media, with some exception, is just going to pick them all the time.
100%.
That's my advice.
And we know Ariel Helwani too. This is just another example. I liked it. I kind of put that up. Ariel was he's another example of where basically I don't think ESPN had his back in terms of when the UFC was advocating that, do not put him on platforms. Like these days, how many times do you see the ads that run with like, hey, watch Chael in DC, the bad guy, whatever, the bad guy, that show, whatever it is, during a broadcast, and they never once did that during Ariel's whole time with basically the same show, like that he was running for years within that. It happens on so many levels. You know what I mean? It happens on so many levels. And Ariel basically, I think, and we've, Ariel too, like in terms of what he's been able to do, but like, that's why I think a big reason why he started his own enterprise, for the very reason you're talking about. Who's going to want to go back to ESPN after that?
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of believe like, this is why I don't ask them for a credential or anything. Yeah. I mean, I probably would get denied anyway at this point, but
you think so?
Yeah. But like, even if it was still in play, I don't even bother with it because, the more you ask them for things, the more they will leverage them against you.
Yeah.
That's just how it's always been. And unless there's some significant change in leadership, that's just how it's always going to be. And I don't want to have to ask permission to tell the truth as best as I can ascertain it. And you have to plan for these things. Like, my advice to everyone out there is you've got to like intentionally think about what you're building as a way to shield you from these forces. Or, maybe your coverage isn't that kind. Maybe your coverage is pretty, corporate friendly and you don't have to worry about this. But if you're at all an independent voice and you haven't protected yourself, like, they're gonna get you. Like, just straight up, they're gonna get you.
Well, you would see a lot more of our standard, like let's go back 2007 to 2000. I don't know. You look at press row from those days. A lot of these people would still be, including myself. I'd probably still be at more events. A lot of these people would still be covering the sport if it had been where it's just you let the guys do their job. But I think what happens in the end is, if you look at who's covering the sport, we talk about this with press conferences and everything. I'm not trying to throw people under the bus, but they want people around who are going to glow about the event or lob softball questions during the or inane questions during the press conference. They're not looking for true journalists at their events anymore. I mean, even Dana was like, if he could replace all journalists with just the influencers, that's what he would do.
Yeah. I mean, everyone should understand what the score is at this point. All right, let's move on to. Oh, excuse me. Before we move on to that, let's actually thank one of our friends here on the show, big friends of the show, I should say. From face-off to final decision, Fight Night delivers the adrenaline and Cuervo, the energy to match it. Whether you're hosting your crew at home or catching the action at a bar, Cuervo brings the good vibes that turn every round into a celebration. From margaritas to palomas, every main event simply tastes better with the world's most iconic tequila. No matter who walks out with the belt, with Cuervo in hand, you're already celebrating like an undisputed champion. For every round, keep it fun, keep it Cuervo. And I've got mine. And we're going to be back in studio the first week of May, I believe, to get you guys ready for pregame preview for UFC 328, which will be a home game. And I'm very, very, very much Wednesday, May 6th is going to be our next pregame preview brought to you by our friends at Cuervo. We look forward to being back in studio and bringing you that fun show. Let's go to topic number 5 if we can here, Chuck. Let's just do some combat sports quick hits. I'd love to get your take on it if we can. So Carlos Ulberg has now gotten surgery on his knee and is, you can see all smiles there. The interesting part is he's going to rehab at the UFC Performance Institute. We've got a clip from Dana talking about it, and then I'd like to get your reaction.
Has there been any talk about yet what you do at 205? I mean, it's going to be a while.
Yeah, so
to fight again.
One of the good things about it is he was at Power Slap last night, and I was talking to him, and he's going to stay in Vegas. So he got the surgery. He's going to start working at the PI. Apparently where he lives in Australia, he's in a remote part of the country, so there wasn't a lot around him. And what we used to find before we built the Performance Institute is we would get these guys surgery with great doctors, then they'd go back home and wouldn't do anything. They didn't do any physical therapy and recovery. So now with the PI, that place has saved more fights and helped more athletes prolong their careers, and we'll get him in there, see how fast he starts to recover, and we always figure it out.
I know Paulo Costa has been talking already about interim belts and whatnot. I assume you guys haven't really had that conversation yet.
We have not, yeah. I mean, Carlos is still getting set up here, but we will figure it out.
Your reaction?
I mean, I think it's smart in the sense, like, what else is it for? That they're going. From everything I've heard, this is one of the great things the UFC has done, because these Performance Institute, like, I think a lot of people are kind of held, like they get what they're supposed to from there. So I could understand it. I will say that is Carlos Ulberg seems to be making the most of his victory lap here. Like they just mentioned, he was at Power Slap, and you didn't watch WrestleMania, but he was there with DC sitting, right up near the ring, and he actually played a role with the necklace, with the lei type thing that they're wearing in the main event. So it's kind of good to see him getting that crossover pop. Maybe it won't be the worst thing for him, because I felt like he needed to get more exposure. Anyway, that was one of the talking points coming out of it.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, but I think Dana's quite right on this one. I can well imagine guys getting orthopedic surgery and then thinking to themselves, oh yeah, I'll just let it heal naturally and it'll be done. Bro, rehab is the second part of that surgery. You know what I mean? Have you ever had orthopedic surgery?
I never have, but I mean, you cover sports, like you feel like you have. You've dealt with it for so long, and it's just the right move for his timetable to be like, for them to gauge his timetable, especially, right? Because they'll know exactly what's happening.
No, rehab is so fucking critical. You have to do that correctly, otherwise you'll mess up everything. Arman Tsarukyan, by the way, winning 13-1 at RAF 8 over the weekend. Here we have the video where he shoots on a single and just runs him out of the fucking surface. Here's Arman, definitely not looking like a loose cannon, Chuck.
How did he even get to Philadelphia, Luke? I mean, didn't they kick him off the plane?
Bro, I got to tell you, someone had a tweet underneath, like one of the aggregator accounts, talking about, because there's video of him, there's a video of the flight attendant outside the flight, like not pulling literally, but like, getting Tsarukyan to get off. And Tsarukyan's arguing with her, and she's just like, nope, you're going to go. And he goes, obviously. And someone in the comments wrote, flight attendants are undefeated against UFC fighters. And it's so fucking true. Dude, I cannot tell you. I have been on 2 flights myself over the course of my career that MMA fighters who had a fight coming up were on and got thrown off for making threats against people or just acting crazy. Yeah. It's like, how often is that shit happening where people are getting thrown off, where MMA fighters are getting thrown off of flights because they just can't, keep their tray tables up in an upright and locked position,
Yeah. These days, I mean, everybody's got a surveillance camera on you, so it's like it's going to be harder to get by with. But yes, I've seen that very thing happen too. But in terms of the RAF thing, I mean, what did we expect on any level here? Did you like it'd be stranger if we were like nothing really happened. It kind of went quietly this time. Tsarukyan showed up, just did the job. That'd be strange. I'd be like something's wrong with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Arman, really, it's just Arman. You don't have to be aggro for everything. It's just, pump the brakes a little.
Izzy Martinez was like, he'd rather just see a punch thrown than that because it was just so dangerous, right? Like,
totally.
take the guy.
Fucked up doing that. Nothing happened.
Yeah, lucky.
Also, they signed Khamzat Chimaev, RAF did. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually kind of intrigued by that to see how he does. But I saw people being like, oh, yeah, you can set up the Bo Nickel match. But UFC apparently is not allowing an active UFC fighter to go up against, in wrestling, another active UFC fighter.
Really? Okay.
Or at least not in the same weight class. If there's any chance like that's a real fight that could be made, RAF is kind of steering away from that. So I'm curious to see how Khamzat Chimaev does. But like some of the more interesting ones you're already kind of blocked off from. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intriguing. It's fun to at least get him involved because he's not the most prolific UFC fighter at this point. So it's like, to get glimpses of him in any way is a boon.
Oh, that's the other part too. It's like, oh, we signed Khamzat Chimaev. It's like, I mean, did you?
I know.
Is he going to compete there?
It's like the Stevenson one. Like he keeps signing with all these weird. My son jokes all the time. Like, is he actually going to fight? Because he signed the WWE, never appeared.
Oh, right.
He's with the UFC.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Big news actually in the boxing side of things, as crime boss and former, like, what do you want to call him? Like influential power broker Daniel Kinahan was arrested in Dubai. Dude, understand something. Let me read this tweet. Daniel Kinahan has been arrested in connection with alleged serious organized crime offenses. Kinahan was arrested in Dubai following an arrest warrant issued by the Irish courts per broadcaster RTE. That's like their NPR up there. Dubai police said the arrest took place on April 15th after what they described as an extensive search and surveillance operations. Dude, they had Bellingcat and some other folks in Irish media scanned an MMA event that took place, like a UAE Warriors event that had taken place, I think, in like the last year or so. And they scanned the crowd and they found Kinahan there. They found him. He had a hat on. He wasn't like, making a huge scene necessarily, but they found him there in the audience. So people were wondering, like, so he can just go to Dubai and chill out? Dude, Dubai is having a crazy reckoning because it used to be this place for like tax, I'm not going to say evasion per se, but tax avoidance, let's put it that way. And then also kind of like a playground for organized crime. And now they're cracking down on that shit. And they got this guy. Dude, Kinahan was like intimately connected in the boxing world, helping to make fights, working with the biggest names. I mean, you name it, Chuck. Your reaction to this news?
I mean, it felt inevitable, but this felt inevitable from a long time ago. I remember reading a huge, I think it was New York Times piece about him living in Dubai, right? That's where he was.
New Yorker, I think, had a big piece.
New Yorker, that's what it was. It was New Yorker. They had a very big piece. And just being like, this is kind of crazy that everything going on, but nothing happens with this dude. You know what I mean? So it just feels like it's always a little gross. It was Tyson Fury, attending like personal events and stuff. And it always feels gross when there's some entanglement this way in the fight game. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of that, especially in boxing's history. But it's good because it's like, talking to Pizzi, who's an Irishman, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. It's a bigger deal for them over there than it is the guys like us who just kind of peripherally watch it. But I think it's a good thing that justice is being served. It was the Irish, like, right? Like, the Irish who apprehended him in Dubai, was it? Is that how it went down?
I mean, I think with assistance from the local government.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's good. After I read that piece, I was like, why can't they do anything about this? And then they finally have. Yeah.
Just chilling out there in Dubai. But I think Dubai is starting to be like, we gotta crack down on this shit.
They must be to that point.
They're gonna extradite him. I saw an article in maybe it was Irish Times, I'm not sure. But they were saying that like the security protocol just to extradite him back, like in Ireland, is crazy high because of all the things that could go wrong in a situation like that. So we'll have to see what ends up happening.
Man.
But they caught his ass chilling at an MMA event. Can you fucking believe that?
It's insane, man.
Unbelievable. How about this? Benoit Saint Denis has this is I think an AI thing he made.
Oh, boy.
Right? I'm not sure. Oh, he doesn't want the Le Hoofy. Oh, he got that one already. How about this one on the menu? The Le Dariouche.
It's a good dish.
The Le Hooker. He eats that, or Le Hooker. Uh-oh.
What's this?
What's this one? Look at that. Look at that smile. Why is there a weird dude smiling back at him? Le roast beef. He's just cutting slices there with an angry look on his face. Does anyone speak French? Faim? Famished? Hungry?
Hungry. It's hungry and roast beef, national dish of England.
I get it. He's calling for a fight against Paddy. Paddy, Chuck, has confirmed that he's fighting July 11th at International Fight Week. Now, he did not confirm necessarily that it was against BSD, but Chuck, your reaction to A, Paddy returning on what will be a very big card, and B, if it is BSD, what do you think about that?
Just connecting some dots here, Luke, and I honestly think that maybe they would put those two together in that situation. What do you think?
Yes.
I'm for it. I think that's a great fight for both guys. I love that.
I fucking love that fight. I mean, they've got it'd be a little bit wrong to say they have similar styles, but they have similar-ish strengths. And so that ground battle could actually be a really good one. If BSD ends up being the victor, you get, a bunch of wins here over some names. Paddy may be the biggest name if he gets that win. By contrast, if Paddy gets the win, it's really redemptive, Yeah. So that's a fun one. That's a fun one.
I'd be down with it, man. We've been, I think that when we first were talking about what's next for Paddy, he was one of the names we threw out there in terms of accommodating like a good fight and still being beatable, even though I think that it's like he's always going to be, I think, a step below his potential for some reason. Like, you know what I mean? Say that he it feels like he's always going to be one of those guys like we had him pegged up here, but like he's always just here. So I think that that's a good matchup.
Last but not least, Conor Benn has signed a new deal with Zuffa Boxing. Now, this is a multi-fight, multi-year deal. We do not have, to my knowledge, as of the time of this broadcast, Chuck, the details of the contract. Folks might be confused. It's like, well, didn't he just sign a one-fight deal? But they also might be sued, Chuck. So are you following this? Here's how it goes.
Okay.
It looks like what Zuffa tried to do, and I'm not here in any way suggesting that there's impropriety. I do not know. But what I'm saying it looks like is that Ben was at the end of his matchroom deal, but they had matching rights. So Zuffa made an offer that basically was so big that it killed the ability to have matching rights. They couldn't match $15 million for a single fight. But that was enough to get out of his deal, right? So that they couldn't match. He had a chance. Now he's done. And then from there, he could then sign a multi-fight deal. Hearn claims that, I mean, not definitively, but seems to be suggesting that there might be something untoward about that it's actually all part of the same deal, and they're not saying it. I don't know. Here's the part I wanted to make, though, Chuck. Why the fuck are they signing him at all?
I don't know.
Dude. Two things are gonna. There are only two things that could derail Zuffa Boxing. One is if Saudi Arabia pulls all their financing. They could still do it. They could still do it, but that changes the equation pretty substantially at that point. The other one is, dude, they've signed Callum Walsh and Conor Benn. Who is in charge of talent over there at Zuffa Boxing? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you signing these guys who are not good? I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, at least, because if we were concerned with the mystery of, the $15 million for a single fight, now you kind of look at it and you say like, okay, wait, so this was like there were entanglements, and it was part of a big picture thing. But I think a lot of people were almost giving Conor Benn like the benefit of the doubt. It's like, hey, of course I'm taking the $15 million, and he'll end up back with Eddie Hearn. This actually is saying like, no, Eddie Hearn, you're not going to, it kind of cuts Eddie Hearn back out of that. So all of the initial, kind of complaints about disloyalty and all that stuff have kind of been come back into play. It's a very strange development. I honestly didn't think that they would bring him back after the Prograis fight. Did you? I mean, I was like, this can't be good for their investment.
I thought that for sure they were going to punt.
Yeah.
And then they fucking re-signed him.
Crazy, dude. That's crazy.
I don't get that at all. I just don't know I don't know what he adds.
Maybe Eddie's point is why they re-signed him. To Eddie's point, maybe this was the initial deal, so they hadn't it was already a signed deal pre-Prograis. So
right. Rather than making two decisions to sign him, Eddie's suggesting it was one decision, and they're just breaking it up. Right. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that would be the only one I could accept, to be honest with you. Yes. I just don't know how you look at that Prograis fight. You're like, dude, we got to sign this guy. This is fucking great.
That's all I thought watching that fight, man. So, I mean, I guess continued congratulations to Conor Benn here.
Dude, can someone pay me $15 million to do this shit? I mean, I will just, I'll whore anybody at this point. All right. That's it for our top 5. Now it's your turn to ask us questions. We post on Instagram every Sunday a call for questions. You guys fill them up. The producers pick them. It's time for DMs from Donks. All right. Put it on the screen here. I'm going to read off the screen. From Tito 1129. How much would UFC have to pay heavyweights to get top heavyweight athletes interested in pursuing MMA, Chuck? What do you think?
Okay, so if we're talking about top heavyweight athletes, we're probably talking about people who already have professional gigs, meaning like football players. Because remember we were talking about this, like guys who could that would be able to go over and kick ass in MMA. Yeah. They'd have to pay them a lot because those. I don't know if anybody's looked at the types of money they're making, but it's certainly, in the 8-digit range per year. And so, like for the UFC to even compete with some of those type of things, it's just never going to happen.
Those kinds of numbers, yeah.
They're never going to do it.
Also, I think a point that people don't really fully connect with is they're like, okay, well, the UFC could offer more money, and that would certainly help. I mean, clearly that would make a difference, I think. But one of the bigger challenges that even a lot of money, Chuck, won't necessarily fix is that, like, imagine if you're a big heavyweight kid, right? And I'll just use my own area where I grew up as like an example. If you're from Georgia and you're, a premier American football player, and you're getting a scholarship to go play at a premier Division I program, you're kind of already in that pipeline. You know what I mean, Chuck? Like, it's hard to get someone who's already in. Like, if you're again, we're talking about like a Georgia, an Alabama, Oregon, right? A big program. If you're in that program, getting someone out of it when they're, and we're talking like, the premier guys on that team, when they're already just dead set focused on the NFL, 100%. It's not just giving these guys a bunch of money, because that doesn't do it. You got to pull them out of that pipeline. This is why going back to the wrestling, I think, is going to be so important for UFC, because you need guys in that pipeline.
Yes, you do. Because they don't have a place to go, really. Like they've traditionally not had a place to go. To deviate from what you're saying, because from the time you're a kid all the way, if you make it to college and you're shining in college, I mean, that is the pipeline. You're trying to make the NFL. The deviations that we've seen where somebody like that ends up in the UFC, Brendan Schaub, Matt Mitrione, and even Hokit, right? Like, they're guys who made it if for a cup of coffee in the NFL, but couldn't stay there. They couldn't sustain themselves. And so then what's next? What can I do after this? And this is what they did. They defaulted in a strange way, or just segued into MMA from that point. They probably always had an interest in it, but that's not where their interest lied in terms of where they were going with their career at first.
They only pivoted when that pipeline failed them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, I mean, we might see more of those. I'm sure we will. We'll see more of those as we go on. But to just get like a top athlete to just step away, even Greg Hardy, like he was basically banned from the NFL when he came over to the UFC. So, like, I just don't know if you're ever going to have a guy at the top of his athletic prime who has the option to make, $20 million a year in the NFL or something, say like, nah, you know what? I think I want to fight in the UFC because it means more to me to fight in the UFC. I don't think you're going to see that.
It's a tough thing to figure out.
Yeah.
All right, next. From Jits. What do you believe is the ceiling for Arman's wrestling career? I mean, you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go. I mean,
Unless
maybe
it's
he
pro
could
wrestling.
compete for Armenia,
Yeah.
or something. But even then, dude, like Armenia's got some good athletes,
Yeah.
even though it's a small country. Or Russia. I mean, especially he's not making any fucking Russian teams.
I will say that in the end, do you think that this is all helping Arman? Like basically this RAF thing, like he was just going to be idle. I mean, now we're talking about him all the time. I feel like he's way more popular, through this RAF channel than he would have been if he just was strictly sticking to the UFC.
Dude, we talk about Arman almost every fucking week on this show.
I know, man. And obviously, like he's getting clicks from people, like in terms of the other websites too.
I think that RAF clip had more retweets than anything I saw
exactly
from the UFC card. It's just crazy what he's able to do.
Shows now, man.
But like, what's the ceiling? Like, dog, you're not. Let me assure you, he's not making any Russian team at all.
Yeah.
And maybe he could, like try for an Armenian team, but I don't think he can make that either.
You think he's like? I saw Uriah Faber say like, basically call him a spoiled brat or something along these terms. Like he was just saying he's a spoiled brat, just does these things because there's no. Is he like devising this like at some level? Like, you know what? I want to do something controversial, kind of in a Dylan Dennis kind of way. Or do you think that this is just who he is? Like I now I'm a little bit like, I don't know now. At first I was like, nah, he's just a entitled guy. Then I was like, no, I think that he's probably like now happy to, court controversy a little bit, but now I'm not sure, man. I'm like caught between these worlds.
I'm not. I think it's a good question. I'm a little bit half and half on this one. I think on the one hand, some of his own decisions have kind of forced him into this position.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think he's kind of also been like, let's just make lemonade, out of lemons, and in that sense, leaned into it.
Yeah.
But, if he had not gotten in trouble or whatever and had, like, I don't know what the fuck happened with the rematch against Islam, but, if he hadn't been in that position, I don't know if he'd be pursuing these as much. But, he is now and it's working. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah. All right. Next. From Empty Titties. With the political capital Dana White has amassed, do you think he's setting up for a run for either mayor of Vegas or governor of Nevada? And what are his chances? What do you think, Chuck?
Good Lord. I've heard some variation of this in the past. Haven't you? Like, I feel like people have asked this type of thing in the past.
Yes, I've heard variations of this.
You know what, man? There would have been a time I was like, there's just no way that he could have a political career. There would have been a time that I would have been like, that's just impossible because just
he
the
seems
barriers.
So woefully unqualified.
That's what I mean. I mean, all of this, but you could point out a million things as to why this wouldn't happen. But given the way the world has gone since 2016, who am I to say, man? I mean, like, to me, I'm like, maybe he starts to meet the qualifications of what people want. I don't know. Like, I wouldn't put it past, but I'm just not sure that that's ever in his, like, I'm not sure that that's his personality. I don't know if he wants to do that sort of thing. It strikes me as a guy who's maybe too comfortable now, but very comfortable in the role that he has.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, it's not like Dana can't make deals. He makes deals all the time. But political deal making requires a different kind of compromise that I don't know he's particularly well suited for. Also, it's not like mayor of Vegas or governor of Nevada pays what a lot of money,
right. The dude's gambling like in Vegas, like what, $100,000 on a blackjack hand. I
totally.
Don't know
he's got freedom to
go
to Caesars and just do whatever the fuck he wants.
If you're saying, man,
if you're mayor of Vegas, I don't think gambling would play poorly, but until 3, 4, 5 a.m. and if there's other issues not getting met, I don't know. It just seems like an encumbrance and I'm with you. Should he desire to pursue it, I would not preclude the possibility. You know what I mean?
Well, if he did want to do it, then it would be like I could see a scenario for sure where people would want him, like to do it. I just don't think that he has interest in that. He loves his freedoms, man. Like to just being able to do what he wants.
Yeah, and then also like just as a general rule, I really don't care. What party they line up for, but it's probably a bad idea to vote for someone who's been a fight promoter for elected office. That just seems like a very easy thing to get right.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, next, Von Beckel, which county? Which does he mean country?
He must mean country.
Yeah, probably.
Which country has the most educated fans, MMA fans, in your opinion? That's a good question.
Ooh.
They didn't say, now listen to this. They didn't necessarily say the best, although there's kind of a loose association.
It's funny, man.
They said most educated.
Yeah. We used to really pay attention to this. You know, when they go to new markets, like, hey, these people are really sort of informed because they knew the ground game and they knew these things.
Someone would pass guard.
Yeah.
And,
and that you would hear, you would hear the appreciation. This is a tough one. I would say I would have said Canada before because I felt like they were just so rabid for it, and it was like they had watched, and GSP, I guess, being kind of the groundbreaker for them, and it felt like every time I was up there, they were super educated on everything. Like, you know what I mean? Like they would talk to you about GSP. Remember like he was getting BJ Penn's arms up so that he could drain his arms. Like, what was it? Like he was trying to like. Do you remember this? Like he had a tactic. He wanted his arms up so he could sort of like weaken his arms. And they would talk to you about this stuff. They would talk to you about strategy and all this. This was years and years ago. So I would have initially said them, but I feel like other places have caught up. It feels like Australia has a very educated fan base. Brazil, there it is. And,
well, I don't know about Brazil. I mean,
well, I've only gone to one, and you're right. I mean, it's hard to kind of judge that. I've only been to one down there, but maybe I'm just more basing that on the enthusiasm they showed for their fighters. But Canada certainly would still be up there, I think.
Canada's up there. I think Australia's up there. There might be some, maybe you could say Ireland too. Ireland's pretty good.
Yeah.
And even parts of the U.S. certainly have some educated pockets, for sure. But, you get a lot of
Texas
wooing
Florida,
here too, All right, next. From
Jesus,
Lyson Rings 1775.
This is Rundum Cheeks, Joe.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Which city has the best bathrooms, Chuck?
City has the best bathrooms. I don't know, man. I mean,
you ever visited a city and just found like, wow, man, these bathrooms here are sick?
It's easier to point out the cities that have really poor bathrooms. Like I feel like New York City of all the places. I mean, I'm sure they have, but you can't get to the good ones. Like, or the ones that you are using if you're just out and about are going to be complete garbage.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I don't love some of the bathrooms in Colombia. If I can just be perfectly honest with you. Well, I mean, you can get great ones there, but you got to be. Can I tell you my biggest complaint about the bathrooms in Colombia? The toilet paper there is not my favorite situation. Yeah.
Why? Like just thin, cheap stuff, or what?
No, quite the opposite. Almost waxy.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't absorb anything. We're getting into some details here that I think are a little bit much, but
it does paint a picture of something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So. I mean, I look at painted pictures every time I'm pulling my hand back. It takes a while to get clean. I'll put it that. Yeah, it takes a while. I'm putting some Jackson Pollocks on those things for like 15 minutes before I make some progress.
I grew up in Colorado, and a lot of it, my father's side comes from the mountains, Leadville, Colorado, like places high elevation. The bathrooms and those, like a lot of times it's outhouses or it's straight up like, it's just, it's as bad as it gets. I mean, as rustic as I don't think they've improved anything in those areas since like 1890,
Yeah.
So
just no indoor plumbing at all.
These days there might be some, but not in the days I was going there.
And then Turkey, I went to Istanbul, and Istanbul was a real hit or miss. It had both the worst bathrooms I'd ever seen, up there with the worst, and then also some of the nicest ones too. But I
want to give a shout out. I was in Boston once, and I have no idea where I was, but I walked into a random hotel to take a piss, and I'm using the urinal, and each urinal had a little TV on it playing like Sports Center. I was like, this is the coolest fucking bathroom I've ever been in.
The bathroom at that point.
No idea where it is, but shout out to that bathroom in Boston.
You guys like bathroom attendants? I don't like these guys trying to.
No, they
hate that shit.
Yeah, get the fuck out of my face. I don't need
I'll like go around them to like dry my own hands. I'm like, get out of here. So don't hand me that shit.
I don't need a mint right now, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't need a mint. I don't need your cologne. And I'm not going to give you $5. Get the fuck out of my face. All right. I think that's it. For our top 5. With that in mind, it's now time to do we have one more. No. Yeah, you can always contact the show, morningkombat@gmail.com. You can send in your dead wrongs, your fan subs, and a whole lot more. Wow, we got a bunch of these. Holy shit. Okay. So let's get to these right now. It's time for fan subs.
You've got mail.
Viewers.
Standard rule, best meme this month gets a free signed poster. So always keep that in mind. All right, we got 2 memes here from Kevin S. Let's see what we got. Rogan said 7 words to me. They should be obvious. I'm going to chug donkey semen. What a joy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was not it. That was not it. All right, here's the next one.
Oh, geez,
oh my
what
God.
There
They turned you into Jesus. I mean, a doctor.
Finally.
Wait. Look at this picture. Hold on. Look at this picture.
Is that Brian Campbell down there?
Yes,
You're healing Brian
you're
Campbell.
healing Brian. Oscar is in
You got
there.
both Lukes on the left. You've got Jed and Oscar on the right. Jed has an earring for some reason. There's the Twin Towers over Jed's head and 3 margaritas. Which fighter is that in the top, Long Island?
In the top? Oh,
in the top. Yeah, who is that? I can't. I want to like do the finger thing where you like zoom in. I can't do that obviously on the screen.
Yeah, I can't tell. I have a big screen next to me too, and I still can't make out who it is.
And then you got the Colombian flag in the background. This is Chuck. You wanted memes. You got them, bud.
Yes, I like it.
I gotta say that's actually a pretty good
stuff.
one.
That is
good. A pretty good one. All right, good job from Kevin S. Quinn has one and says Yuri when his opponent is severely compromised. Let's watch. This is isn't this Glass Joe?
Joe, man. He's like, come on.
And then Little Mac. Yeah.
I love how he slides. Like, oh,
that's
awesome.
Awesome.
So fun.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, from John McClaim says, can't hurt him for trying. Dana Segura, Luke, please retweet me. Did he do that?
I don't know. This feels more Shaq Majori than
I was going to say
Segura,
Danny doesn't beg me for retweets, but Shaq does. Jesus.
Maybe he needed you to retweet his controversial scorecard. You know,
yeah.
And he
apparently,
was
people were coming after him on that one.
Yeah,
which is so unlike Twitter. It's such a civil.
No, I know.
Place. All right, from Paul, we've got a meme. The Washington Guardian wearing pink pants, no less.
Nice, yeah.
Why are the wolves and bears saluting me? And by the way, not for nothing, the wolves did it right with their right hand. This fucking bear did it with his left. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like me, sort of. I don't think my neck is quite that short, but I like that one. All right, Jesse, we got 3 memes from Jesse.
Wow, all right.
Sir, you can't use this bathroom if you don't have an account with us. LT about to shit his pants. Yeah, I'm going to use it anyway. There you go. That's one. Chuck Mindenhall and the hat salesman working on commission. Chuck, they got you.
This is true, actually. Yes.
Although you get a lot of free shit too.
Yeah.
But there's that one. And then Long Island Luke, 9 beers and 12 bong rips deep when his parlay hits. Hell yeah, it is.
That was me, Mandonalo and Jai Herbert. I was like,
hell yeah. All right. Great job by Jesse. That ruled. Now, Marcus has an explanation here. So let me read this one out if I can. Marcus T writes, spotted at UFC Winnipeg, fellow Donk and sometimes MK guest co-host Aaron Bronstetter.
Oh, wow.
AB made the trek and thugged it out our second winter with temperatures reaching negative 20 degrees Celsius. Despite the not-so-great card on paper at first, the card delivered, he wrote. Winnipeg's crowd absolutely showed out as well. Little boos and woos, packed to the tits, and not to mention the class they showed for Gilbert Burns. That is true. Already looking forward to the next UFC Winnipeg in 10 years. Maybe next time we can spot another MK Donk co-host like LT or the man in the crap. He says, sorry, man in the hat, Chuck. Longtime Donk.
Why is he straying me?
T. There you go.
Yeah, I don't.
Those, by the way, these seats right here, these are the good seats.
Yeah.
If your eye level is at the top of the cage, that's where you want to be, right?
100%, man. Like I've said this many times, when you're sitting down right at the on the floor, you end up sometimes you'll see what you're like if you look for it, but there's a lot of people kind of standing there, but so you're mostly looking at some screen somewhere to actually see what's happening intricately with the action. So very different, right?
Yeah, totally. All right, and last but not least, we've got 4 memes from Christian L. Let's see. Following UFC 327, Jed letting go of Yuri. I don't want to play with you anymore.
That's pretty good.
Did he cast him out?
No, he was still.
No, but he's always like, Yuri's my lovable son or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Next. They've got Rodrigo del Campo, where I don't know how they call that in Mexico. In Colombia, they call that a ruana, but I don't know how they call it in Mexico. And then he's got the ¿cómo se dice? The what do you call it? The
poncho?
No,
the Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah, Maraca. See, that's how you say it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
then,
Maraca,
and then there's me pointing at me and Rodrigo. You know what? I'll take that. I like that. So fuck y'all.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right, next we got 2 more. Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, or Brian Campbell his search history.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he'll tell you what his search history is all about.
And then last but not least here, Luke Thomas, when he's gone more than 5 minutes without saying, and more to the point, your mileage may vary, or that's neither here nor there. That is a very fair meme. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well done, everybody. Well done.
Yeah, that was great.
morningkombat@gmail.com, morningkombat@gmail.com. Send those in. Best one all month. You get a free signed poster. We'll sign it, send it to you. It'll be great. All right.
By the way, it was funny that somebody asked Dana White, hey, is it going to be another 9 years before you come to Winnipeg? Did you hear this? And he's like, probably.
Is that what he
said?
He
wasn't kidding. And he ends the press, like he tries to end the press conference.
I missed that one.
I was like, wow, you think he's going to be like, no, hopefully we won't. He didn't even say he was joking.
I know, because if you've never been to a UFC event, like whenever they go to a city, there's always Chuck, you know this, but for the audience's sake, there's always someone who's like works at like the local news station or something, and their question, like, let's just imagine we're in make something up. We're in Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
There's going to be someone for the Atlanta local news there who's going to be like, hey, so when are you coming back to Atlanta? And Dana's always like, oh, we'll be back soon. You know, we love Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. This time, I guess he was like, yeah, fuck
he didn't even play that game. That's why it stood out. I was like, he just kind of like, probably. That's all he said.
That's so funny. All right, Chuck, what do you have on the docket for the week, and how can folks find it?
I will be at Uncrowned. I've got some pieces coming up this week. I'm not sure what order we're running them, but I'll have a couple. We'll have some written component, and then I'll be on the Crack on Friday, as usual. So
on that
plenty. Yeah, I'll be on Crack again. Baby.
This weekend I'll be doing the Crack.
That's right.
Trying to give you some new ones to use there.
Long Island, what you got going on this week?
I'm doing Submission Radio later today. Dennis going a day late, so happy 420 to everyone. I'll be on that. That's in like 5-ish hours.
Okay.
And then I'll do a bet breakdown, prop quiz on Friday, full card watch along Saturday. We got Aljo in the main event this weekend. Apex card, but it's not a terrible Apex. At least the main event was fun. So
it's not.
I heard Ben Folks got carved up on the show. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Yeah, that was a bad debut.
I mean, it's an epic ending. I will say that, because PT goes all in on the last question, and he is nowhere near getting it, and then pulls it out of his ass. So it's great. But yeah, we got a new one coming this week, and want to remind everyone one last time.
Yeah,
this goes till midnight. The 420 sale, 42% off all shirts and posters. Get them while they're hot. Please.
There you have it. Morningkombat.shop, 42% off. It's our 420 sale. Go get it today. Now, of course, the other items will be available till the rest of the month, but that deal is today. You've been kind of eyeballing some of this stuff. This is your chance to go get it. All right. Morningkombat.shop. And then that's it. I'll have some coverage of some stuff this week. That's it. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. For Long Island Luke, for everyone on the show, including Chuck Mindenhall, I'm Luke Thomas. We'll see you guys on Friday. And until then, may all of your gains be loyal.